A city on the verge of greatness. A new type of city, based not on the man, but on the automobile. The car. The symbol of freedom and vitality. Where every man can own his own home and have room to breathe and not be overlooked by his neighbors. A city where a man's home is his castle. A quarter acre of the dream made possible by victory. A city of opportunists. A city of dreams, where Hollywood will shape the thoughts and desires of the entire planet. A city of pioneers. A city of dreamers. A city of undercurrents, where not everything is as it seems. A 20th century city that will become a model for the world. A city that has no boundaries, that will stretch as far as the eye can see. In the Marine Corps, you deal with the chain of command. Mistakes get made, but you deal with them. You know what you're fighting for and that you're on the same team. But dealing with corruption is like chasing shadows. You never know whether the guy you're talking to is on the pad, or whether it's your partner, or maybe even the watch commander. So who do you trust, Cole? I made up my mind a long time ago.
KGBL calling caller 14 Adam. 14 Adam, come in.
Go ahead, KGPL.
14 Adam, see the detective an ambulance shooting at 6th and Industrial Street. Unit 16 William requests uniformed assistance for an evidence search. 14 Adam, code 2.
Roger, 14 Adam en route.
Here we go again. They don't request uniforms for an evidence search unless there's some kind of catch.
Ever the optimist.
From the beam of sunshine himself.
We find the crime scene just around the corner.
Floyd Rose, homicide. You might back up?
Yes, sir. Phelps and Dunn, Wilshire Division.
We had a shooting took place down this alleyway. We have the Vic, Scooter Payton, a Negro male bagged up and on his way to Central Morgue. Witness says a tall white guy, our shooter, put 2 in the Vic's head and then threw his piece. I need you guys to try and recover the gat.
You want us to look anywhere in particular?
Give it your best shot, guys. The dead guy's a lowlife. I'm not expecting any miracles here.
And if we recover the weapon?
Bag it and return it to technical services.
You hurried up, Floyd. We
I'm
got
outta
places
here.
to be.
Happy hunting.
Sounds like Homicide is late for their bowling game, leaving the hard work for the boys in blue.
This is a fist hump. Just going through the motions.
You're probably right. Let's just get it over and done.
All right, have it your way. We'll search right up to the back wall. If you still don't come up with anything, come find me and we'll talk it out. 2 heads are always better than 1.
We see trash and pallets littering this alleyway, a metal ramp off to the right.
Look at this junk.
Heading towards the ramp, we find one of the many newspapers dotting Los Angeles. We need to collect these because if we do, we discover a subplot playing in the background.
It's not my job to pick through other people's trash.
This paper is titled Shrink Says, The Mind is the Final Frontier.
Dr. Fontaine, could I have a word?
Of course, young man.
I really enjoyed your lecture, Doctor. Psychiatry seems to have a tremendous amount to offer.
Why, thank you. I'm always happy to receive acknowledgement for my work. The mind is the last great mystery in medicine. Are you thinking of specializing, Mr.
Sheldon, or Courtney Sheldon. I'm only in second year, Doctor. They fast-tracked me a year. Because of my experience during the war.
Ah,
That's what I wanted to talk to you about. Battle fatigue and collapse under duress. Can it be helped?
I would say yes, given the right set of circumstances. Trauma forces the mind to close down, retreat in on itself. We try to find ways to unlock the mind again through a combination of therapy and drug treatment. Hypnosis and therapy are powerful tools in the right hands, Sheldon.
I've been to visit some of the guys at the VA hospital. A good friend of mine, he's so far away. It's like he's wandering
You
around.
went through a lot together.
Yes, Doctor.
Give me his details and I'll make a prognosis. I have a number of clinics in Los Angeles, Courtney Sheldon, and your penance, for your friend's help, is to come and work at one of them in your spare time, with what little spare time a medical student has. Is that a deal?
Is it ever? I can't thank you enough.
I'm not promising a cure, Courtney. I want you to remember that. Every physician has patients that he cannot hope to cure, for whom he can only smooth the path to death.
What have you got, Phelps? Anything?
Sounds like Ralph found a clue while we were preoccupied.
Jesus. Cole, come take a look at this.
Racing to the end of the alley, we find him shining his spotlight on a door covered in blood spatter.
I tell you, I'm jinxed. I always get landed with this crap.
We see that the blood spatter is halfway up the door, at head or shoulder height.
Shooter put him up against the wall and blew his brains out.
Hell of a way to go.
Doesn't really matter how you go once you're gone.
Don't get all deep on me, Phelps.
The alley then turns to the left. We see mist rising from a sewer grate, and the only light is a flickering bulb coming from a nearby opened window.
We're never gonna find it. It's a waste of time.
But wait a minute. In the window we see...
Ralph, there's something on the rooftop.
How the hell did you see that?
A reflection in the window. Looks like it might be our weapon. I'm gonna see if I can find a way up there.
All right, don't hurt yourself.
Now to find a way onto the roof.
The gun's up on the roof, right? So we need to find a way up.
We don't find a ladder, but we do see a drain pipe. Here, Cole's training in the military pays off, and he's able to scale it without effort.
What kind of chumps do these homicide guys think we are?
At the top, we see that the roof is mostly clear, so we can turn left, where we find the silver glint of a revolver.
Smith & Wesson, serial
How you doing, Cole?
S71893.
Found it yet?
We can open the cylinder for more clues.
2 rounds fired. And instead of dropping it down a drain, our shooter hoists it up here. Interesting guy.
We should follow up on this now, before the perp tries to leave town.
We have the gun, Cole. Let's take it back to Central. We could get a commendation.
Could show some initiative, Ralph, and see if we can come up with an owner.
That's a long shot, Cole.
It's a pretty fancy gun. You know a local gun store?
Sure. There's a place a couple of blocks from here.
This isn't part of Cole's job, but he's an ambitious officer.
Are you sure about this? It's not really our gig.
No harm in doing some digging. The suits didn't seem to give much of a damn.
Such a little Boy Scout, Cole. You can't wait to get out of that uniform, can you?
You'd rather round up drunks than help old ladies across the road?
I'd rather get through the day without the captain's foot up my ass.
It'll be fine, Ralph. You worry too much.
Intrepid officers get the jobs they want by doing work that isn't theirs.
You're behind the wheel.
Back at the car, we can open our notebook to set the next destination. We'll head on over to the local gun store to see if they can ID this weapon. The closest one is called Central Guns, with an attached shooting gallery. Upon arrival, we find the proprietor behind the counter. We can open the door to question him.
Officers Phelps and Dunn. Can you tell us anything about this gun?
Smith & Wesson, Model 27, registered Magnum. Chambered for .357, nickel-plated with pearl grips. Same gun used by General Patton.
You're not suggesting he's the owner?
No, I'm not.
You seem to know a lot about the weapon.
I ought to. I sold it. You know, this piece will stop a rhino.
These babies are only available special order. Here's my Smith & Wesson order book.
You mind if I take a look?
Be my guest. This is about something bad, right?
Something bad? 2 cops in a gun store? You betcha.
Model 27 with pearl grips, Cole. You see it on there?
Inside the ledger, we see that most of these weapons are customized with colored steel and a walnut grip. On the first page, we find 127 nickel, but it's got a walnut grip. We're looking for pearl. Moving on to page 2, we only find 127, and sure enough, it's polished nickel with the pearl grip.
We're in luck. Errol Schroeder, 203 South Glass Street. Ordered the gun in February 46. Thanks, you've been a big help.
Anytime. Always happy to help out the LAPD.
Do we call it in?
Let's see if he's at home. Owning the gun doesn't prove he pulled the trigger.
Okay. In for a penny, in for a pound. Lead the way, Gunga Din.
Now that wasn't so hard, was it? Just because we're in uniform doesn't mean we can't use our initiative.
I guess so. Seems a little too good to be true. One-of-a-kind murder weapon bought locally using a real name? If Schroeder's our shooter, he's no criminal mastermind.
Most of them aren't. That's why they get caught. And 2 out of every 3 crimes are done on impulse.
Another fact from the Phelps Encyclopedia of Thin Air. You really are full of it.
Ralph Dunn was right. It did seem a little too good to be true. Perhaps we can learn more by searching his apartment. We arrive at 10:21 p.m. We find his apartment right next to Moxley's menswear, shoes and clothing. Heading inside, we can take a look at the mailboxes to find his apartment number.
Schroeder, apartment 2.
Well, one must be on this ground floor. Heading up the stairs, we see apartment 3 to the left and 4 to the left, which leaves 2 to the right.
What do you guys want?
I'm Officer Cole Phelps. This is Officer Dunn, Wilshire Division. You're the owner of a Smith & Wesson Model 27, nickel-plated with pearl grips?
I might be. What of it?
Then you'll be surprised to know that Scooter Payton was murdered tonight with your gun.
You're out of your mind. Scooter? He works for me. I have that gun here in my drawer. What the f*** is going on here?
You're under arrest, Schroeder. Cuff him, Ralph.
No way. You're not taking me down for this.
And Ralph goes down, taking a cheap shot from Schroeder. But Schroeder didn't expect to be fighting a flatfoot who served during World War II. Such a man does not go down easily.
You ready?
Ralph, you all right?
I'm fine. I hardly felt it. He's lucky he caught me off guard.
Keep an eye on him, Ralph. I'm going to take a look around.
With the suspect out of commission, we can now do a sweep. Searching the room in a counterclockwise fashion, we see a corner shrine dedicated to boxing. If this is a shrine about Schroeder's past achievements, he must have been a short-lived boxer. His skills have clearly not stuck with him. We see a wet bar with a dartboard nearby. Couches in the next corner. He uses his coffee table for meals. He clearly has no partner. He eats his meals alone. Moving towards the kitchen, we see dirty dishes, minor kitchen utensils, and a flickering red glow from the neon menswear sign outside. I can only imagine that being incredibly annoying at night. We find an apple on the ground.
Seems irrelevant.
But not everything we find is useful for our case. Out of the kitchen and turning right, Cole can pick up his hat, and as we pass the drawer Schroeder opened... Wait, what's that green thing? Inside the notebook, we see a series of names and dates, and then a unit number. 50, 20, 40, 40. Are these bets? Or could Schroeder be delivering drugs? If so, that makes this a job for advice. On page 2, we find...
List of names and a series of numbers. Floyd Rose's name is in this book.
Phelps, we can come out of this all bright and shiny with a commendation. Or stick our schlongs in a hornet's nest. Call it in, partner, and leave the book where you found it.
He's right. This notebook evidence gives us the impression that this is a job for homicide or advice, and detectives can get pretty territorial about their work. Because Cole is just a simple patrol officer, he never learns the outcome of this case. But there is no shortage of crime in downtown LA.
Well, you picked the right place, Cole. A city that needed an honest cop like a thirsty man needed water. You'd heard the stories, but you weren't interested. You were here to fight the good fight, solve cases, right wrongs. But the force is like politics. There's no sitting on the fence. You have to choose sides. A brown paper envelope or a Greyhound ticket to Palookaville. It could only ever end one way.
All units to 211 in progress and shots fired at Westlake Savings and Loan, 1415 West 3rd Street. Unit to handle identified, code 3.
We'll take that. It's only a couple blocks from
14
here.
Adam calling KGPL. We'll handle the 211.
Roger that, 14 Adam. Be advised, suspects are armed and dangerous.
Roger KGPL. 14 Adam en route.
After a short drive and doing as little damage to public property as possible, we finally arrive to find the heist in progress.
Make it quick, you guys. The cops are here. We gotta move it.
We got one, but the others managed to hide inside the bank.
Try for the front door. Keep your head down. Use the cover, Phelps. We don't know how many are in there.
Mister.
Take it slow.
Come get me.
Backup will be here soon.
Peering through the broken window, we don't have a good vantage point. So crouching down and pushing Dunn over.
Phelps! Kill a cop, and it's the electric chair.
But there was one more, and he ran upstairs.
That's it? We got them all? I think we got them, Cole. Should be all clear. Lieutenant Hopkins says anytime you reach for the shotguns, you're either going to end up dead or wearing a citation. So I guess...
It's okay, Ralph. You did well in there. I'm glad you had my back. Man couldn't ask for a better partner.
Cole Phelps and Jack Kelso. With some people, it's as simple as chemistry. Two guys who should have been friends, but their personalities got in the way. Phelps, a good guy, but wound way too tight. And Kelso, a quiet man who could never walk away from a fight.
Well, it's a shame you don't like to talk about it, Cole.
Ralph, friends who want to stay friends don't discuss religion or politics. And in my case, you can add the war to that.
I know that bum. Wendell Bowers. I put him away before he jumped parole. Get after him, Phelps. I'll head him off in the car.
Wendell Bowers! Stop! LAPD! You can go screw yourselves.
This tubby little fellow thinks that he can run from Los Angeles' finest. And he can miraculously leap over a chain link fence. Turning the corner, we chase him down an alleyway. Thankfully, our partner blocks off his escape.
Bowers! Hold it right there!
Stop now or I will shoot. I won't tell you again, Wendell.
Jesus, Dunn! Watch your fire!
You don't want to do this, Wendell. Get down from there right now.
Give it up, Wendell!
But there's no way off the roof, and so Wendell heads to a nearby pipe.
Stay the hell away from me!
We chase after him, but if we climb too close...
You've got to be kidding!
You asked for it. There's no way I'm going back inside.
He reaches the roof and manages to put good distance between himself and Cole, and then he leaps to a nearby rooftop.
I've done my time.
It's over, Bowers!
You assholes already screwed me once.
The suspect reaches the other roof in admirable fashion, and Cole is catching up.
Give it up, Bowers! There's nowhere left to go!
He goes around a corner, but then he vanishes. And we don't hear footsteps. That must mean he's waiting for us. Instead of running around to get clotheslined by this guy, we can carefully step forward.
Looks like we've got the place to ourselves.
Looks like he wants a round of fisticuffs. But this possibly inebriated fellow is no match for the iron fist of Cole Phelps.
Your parole officer's feeling lonely. He's got a hole in his life for an asshole like you. You can make it up to him in 10 years' time. Watch your head. This hump will be back in the Iron Hotel by tomorrow night. Nice work, Cole. You run track in high school?
For every cop, there's the case that makes you. Gives you that leg up. Gets you recognized as the shining new star in the squad. The case that you solve that shows that you have the gumption, the gung-ho, that get up and go to make you stand out from your average rank-and-file patrolman. This could be the one, Cole.
After hearing some gunshots, Cole races towards the scene. He draws his gun, but finds a body already on the ground.
LAPD, could you stand clear of the body, please? Has anyone called an ambulance?
We've called an ambulance and the police, but I'm afraid he's dead.
Okay, stand further back and move along. It's your choice, but make it quick, people.
Hey, Cole. You got here quick.
My beat crosses 7th Street.
Okay. You're first reporting then. We'll get a perimeter going and move the crowd on. You better see what you can find out before the homicide dicks show up. I'll be with you in a moment.
All these cops, it's got to be something big, right?
Everybody stay back. Let us do our job.
Broad daylight. Crowded street. Now I've seen everything.
We can start by opening his jacket. On the inside pocket, we find a slip of paper. Bank of Arcadia. Looks like a receipt for a pair of pearl earrings. Name, C. Galetta. The total price of the earrings was $52.50, and it looks like Galetta was making payments on the item. $10 here, $5 there. Galetta's been paying for it since 1945. That's over a year.
C. Galetta. Layaway receipt. Pearl earrings. Made out to Bank of Arcadia.
We can further inspect the corpse, but we don't find much. Nothing in his left hand. His head reveals nothing. And nothing in his right hand. But as we get up, we see something glimmer off towards the street. Stepping over the corpse, we can crouch down to see what it is.
All right.
Shell
Yes,
cases.
it's a dead person.
These look like 32s.
32s, and there are 5 of them. The other officers are keeping the crowd back, but nearby we find a garbage can, and there's something wooden sticking out of it. Reaching inside,
FN Browning. Serial number 01138. Might need to run it by a gun store.
Eagleson's gun store's a couple blocks from here.
Eagleson's gun store. Thanks, Ralph. We'll head to the gun store soon. But first, we can try to talk with some of the witnesses.
I don't think you're a fool. But what's my opinion against thousands of others?
Well, this charming lady had nothing constructive to add. Moving to the other side.
This guy in the crowd thinks he saw something, Cole. You better take a statement.
This was the witness that had called the ambulance.
Sir, I'm Officer Phelps. What exactly did you see?
I heard the shots. I thought it was a car backfiring. I saw a girl run at the shoe store.
A girl inside the shoe store. And it sounds like she was traveling with the victim.
Speak to the witness before homicide arrives, Phelps. And if you think she's lying, don't be afraid to get forceful. Verbally, of course. And don't accuse her of anything without proof. Lawyers love that. And if you're sure she's straight up, try the general approach. See what you can coax out of her.
This brief rundown is the best explanation of the interrogation system that we ever get, and we can put it to good use as soon as we enter the shoe store.
Can I help you, sir?
I'm Officer Phelps, miss. I'm here about the shooting. Did you know the victim?
He was my boss, Mr. Gage.
Mr. Gage's first name.
Everett.
And you are?
Galletta. Clovis Galletta.
Clovis Galetta? C. Galetta. Sounds like the store clerk is the same person whose name we found on the layaway receipt. We can start by asking her about what she saw.
Do you think you could tell me exactly what happened, miss?
I look around the shops at lunch. I was in a store when Mr. Gage, my boss, bursts in yelling that I'm late on my lunch.
And?
We came back. I was angry. I walked in front. I heard shots. I turned and saw Mr. Gage fall.
A plausible enough story, but there's something about her demeanor that gives us the impression that she may not have told us a complete truth. We get the distinct impression that there is more to the story. She's hiding something.
You're lying, Miss Galetta. You know what happened and why. You're going to tell me.
There's nothing to tell. I've done nothing wrong. How can you prove different?
We can prove different by taking a look at the layaway voucher. Her boss ran a shoe store, but in his pocket was a layaway voucher for some pearl earrings. But the name on the voucher was Clovis Galetta's. What was he doing with it? We can present the evidence to find out.
Your pearl earrings, Miss Galetta. You've been paying for them for a whole year. Stop lying and tell me what happened at the jewelry store.
Oh, God! I won't lose the earrings, will I?
You could lose your freedom, you little fool, if you don't stop obstructing a murder investigation.
Mr. Kalu. Edgar Kalu. He runs the jewelry store. He's showing me a lovely watch. Mr. Gage bursts in. Mr. Kalu gets very angry with Mr. Gage, and they start yelling at each other. Mr. Gage tells me that all of the things in the store are junk, nickel-plated, made in Japan, and yells at me to get back to work.
Then what happened?
We get back here, and I hear a loud bang. Mr. Gage clutches at his back. I hear another bang, and another, and another. Mr. Gage falls to his knees. It looked very painful.
And that gives us the name of our suspect, Mr. Kalu. And it gives us a possible motive. Mr. Gage burst into the store and shouted loudly that everything in there was junk, nickel-plated, made from Japan. But how did Mr. Gage know where his employee Galetta was? And how did he get his hands on the layaway voucher? Well, I think it's likely that she must have left it at work. He found it, read it, and for some reason felt compelled to track her down to the jewelry store. But what was it about the jewelry store that so motivated Mr. Gage? To find out, we need to learn more about the jewelry store. We can ask Galetta to further elaborate on the store and the suspect.
Which jewelry store?
Hartfield's. Broadway, between 5th and 6th.
Did you see the person who shot Mr. Gage?
Of course I did. Mr. Kalu looked very angry. He kept firing the gun. He kept pulling the trigger. He threw the gun in a bin and turned and walked away.
Well, yeah, we get the fact that he's an angry guy, but could Mr. Gage's words have really driven him to murder? All he did is accuse the guy of selling cheap stuff. Some shopkeepers can be really protective of their store's reputation. It is their livelihood. But we get the idea that perhaps there's something more here. Something that would give Mr. Kalu a stronger motive for murder. We don't have any evidence that Galetta here is lying, but there are holes in her story, and she is not exactly holding herself with confidence. Something is preoccupying her, and she feels a little nervous. We need to find out what she's holding back.
You're making me angry, Miss Galetta. Is that what you want? Tell me why Mr. Kalu shot Mr. Gage.
Mr. Gage hates Jews. A lot of people do. It's not my fault if he has nice things.
And the penny drops. The murder may have been religiously motivated. Kill a man for mocking your shop? Nah. But kill a man for hating your faith? Your very identity? That is a motive. But before we visit Mr. Kalu, we can end by asking Galetta if she knows any further details of the shooting.
How many shots did you hear, Miss Galetta?
It's difficult to remember. It sounded like there were so many, and they were so loud.
Well, yeah, guns tend to be loud. And we counted the casings we found on the ground. There were 5. 5 could be many, plus her face. It doesn't look like she's chewing over her lie. Instead, it looks like she's overwhelmed by this whole situation. And so we can encourage her to continue her story.
I need you to concentrate, Miss Galetta. Even minor details can become important later on.
Well, there was one bang, and then another, and then 3 very quickly, close together. 5.
5, exactly.
Thank you for your help, ma'am. You've been very brave. We'll need you to make a formal statement about what happened to Mr. Gage.
Does that mean I can still collect my... Never mind. Yes, officer, I'll make a statement.
And she's disturbingly, clearly more concerned about her pearl earrings than the death of her boss.
We have the murder weapon. And the murderer. The girl saw it all. Our killer works at a jewelry store called Hartfield's.
That's a couple of blocks from here.
Thinking what I'm thinking?
Tate, maintain the perimeter.
Now at this point, we could go straight to the jewelry store to confront the murderer, or if we failed in our interrogation, we could follow up with the gun clue by heading to Eagleson's gun store. If we do, we arrive at 2:56 p.m., and we find the proprietor behind his desk.
Officers, what can I do you for?
Officers Phelps and Dunn, sir, Wilshire Division. We need you to trace a serial number.
Sure. What's the make and model?
FN Browning, model 1922. The serial number is 01138.
You don't say. Well, I didn't sell it. Europeans love them, but it's pretty rare you find one over here. Although I did have one in here a couple of weeks back.
Remember the owner?
Yeah. Caillou. Edgar Caillou was his name. Thing looks like he'd never been fired, but he brought it in here for cleaning anyway. Then he bought a box of cartridges and he left.
Do you know where we can find Mr. Caillou?
Told me he was on his lunch break. Said he worked at Hartfield's jewelry store just up on Broadway.
Thanks for your help.
And he gives us the name of the suspect. This is an alternative way to get his name if we couldn't get it from Galetta. That leaves only one destination. We can head on over to Hartfield's jewelry store. It must have been close because we arrive at 2:36 p.m. We find a worker helping his customers.
Officer, can I interest you in a new watch?
Officer Cole Phelps, are you Edgar Caillou?
No. Mr. Caillou is out back. He said he'd lie down. I'll buzz him for you.
Oh, okay. Well, that was helpful, thanks. We'll just wait here.
Son of a bitch! Go, Cole, go!
Oh. Heading behind the counter, we can race through the employee area and follow him out the back door. He turns right into an alleyway, left into a parking lot, and then knocks open the door to a nearby diner.
You call these grits?
Out of the diner, we see him recklessly run across the street. Now at this point, Phelps has drawn his gun. We could try to subdue the man by killing him. But with a dead suspect, that ends our case. So even though the game is really trying to get us to shoot this guy right now, we can ignore the gun and instead tackle him.
Too late, Caillou!
This guy's got a screw. Root beers all around, dog.
Going to church.
Edgar Caillou, you're under arrest for the murder of Everett Gage.
Well, someone seems pleased with himself.
The case that makes you, and the case that breaks you. The one you never solve. The one that keeps you awake at night. The case that gnaws at your guts and ruins your marriage. The case that keeps you propping up a bar as you relive the what-ifs, the might-have-beens, the half-leads, and the half-truths. The case that other cops murmur about whenever you walk past. The case you never, ever discuss.
God's mill may grind slowly, but it grinds finely, son. I hear it's you who nabbed our malefactor from the shooting yesterday.
Yes, sir.
Then tell me, Boyle, I hear you're quite the climber, a man of initiative. How would you like a chance at smiting this man with the sword of justice?
You're asking me to conduct the interview, sir?
I am, young Phelps. You've only been with us a short time and you've assembled yourself a stellar arrest record. Not to mention the fine work you did in the war, sending heathens back to the hell they came from. But I'm curious as to whether you can turn your hand to interrogation. Takes a certain animal cunning, lad. Do you think you might be ready for that?
Yes, sir. I think I am.
Good man. You need many things for a conviction, young Phelps. A motive, opportunity, hard evidence, and best of all, a confession. If you fail in the former, you can always use a modicum of violence to obtain the latter. How are you feeling, lad?
Fine, sir.
Very good. The evidence is overwhelming. May the cat eat him and the cat be eaten by the devil. Bring me a confession, young Phelps. This is your chance. Don't fail me.
And that was my favorite character in the entire game. I love him, but we'll see him again. We find the suspect drinking coffee on the other side of a table.
Has my lawyer arrived yet? I want to see my lawyer.
A lawyer can't help you, Mr. Kalu. You shot a man dead in cold blood. You're going to have to pay for that.
We can start by trying to figure out exactly what his argument with Gage was all about.
You followed Everett Gage and the girl back to the shoe store. You put 5 rounds in Gage's back.
Gage was a bastard. Whatever he got what was coming. But it had nothing to do with me.
He's still trying to deny the murder, despite the fact that he ran? Okay. Ballsy guy, but a foolish gamble on his part. Not only is he giving himself away by his really uncomfortable and awkward facial expressions, but we have an eyewitness to the murder who positively fingered Kalu as the murderer.
You shot Gage, and we know why. We can put you at the scene.
You can't prove anything.
The evidence we have is none other than the eyewitness testimony of Galetta.
We know all about the argument. Miss Galetta made a statement.
You're counting on the girl? You think her testimony is going to stand up in court?
You're going to the gas chamber, Edgar.
That Jew-hating couldn't leave me alone. I had a sale. That girl was ready to buy.
Oh, and he betrayed another clue. It echoes what we heard from Galetta, that Mr. Gage hates Jews. Perhaps Kalu here thought that hatred deserved a death sentence. We can quiz him about a possible religious motive.
Let's change the subject. You fasting for Yom Kippur, Mr. Kalu?
Yeah, let's change the subject, you going. How about baseball?
You're not denying you're a Jew, Mr. Kalu.
This is America. It's not Germany. It's not a crime.
Some people don't like Jews, Mr. Kalu.
Yeah, and I guess you're one of them.
Gage hated Jews, didn't he, Mr. Kalu?
I don't know what you're talking about.
We don't have evidence for what's in the heart of a murderer, but we see his guilt written clearly on his face. He's annoyed. He's clearly bluffing. He's in waiting mode, waiting for us to buy his lie. But we're not going to fall for it. Instead, we know that this guy has a hot temper towards anyone who hates his faith. If we can exploit that hot temper, perhaps we can agitate him enough that he betrays himself in a confession out of anger.
You left-wing leaning parasite. You expect me to sit here and listen to your drivel?
You call me that? You sit there and you call me those names, you goy butt snatcher? You and that stup Gage!
Why did you do it, Mr. Kalu?
Gage. He's in the Chamber of Commerce. He's in with all those momsers. He blocked every proposal I ever put forward. Kike this and kike that. He's been trying to ruin my business for years.
Edgar Kalu, I'm charging you with the first-degree murder of Everett Gage. I respect your beliefs and your right to hold them. I hope for your sake the jury can commute to murder in the second degree. May God have mercy on you, sir.
As Phelps leaves, the reality of what his outburst has cost him finally dawns on Kalu.
Masterfully done, Officer Phelps. It is just Officer Phelps, isn't it, lad?
Yes, sir.
Then let me have a word with the Chief of Police, young Phelps. The department needs heroes. A shining, honest face the public can admire. I applaud a man with your talent for unwavering justice. Back to your duties for now, Boyle. But here's a piece of advice. Get yourself 2 suits, get them pressed. You'll be needing them.
And with that, Cole Phelps gets promoted from his patrol desk to the traffic desk, one step closer towards the homicide detective desk that he truly wants. We'll follow up with Cole, his cases, and his career in our next video. Welcome all to my series on the full story of L.A. Noire. I made this video as a bit of an experiment to see how my viewers liked it. As you may have noticed, the cases in this video acted as a tutorial to L.A. Noire, which is why the first few cases were incomplete. They either left us hanging or they were simple action sequences. However, each case after this point is a complete story, and I'll be creating a dedicated video for each case. I'd like to hear your opinion. If you're interested in this story, let me know by leaving a comment and a like. Or if you're not interested at all, you can let me know below as well. I'll decide whether or not to continue this series based on your feedback. As wonky as some of the graphics are, the story of L.A. Noire is captivating, especially once we get to a few other cases deeper in the story. Now this is a mature game, so I'll be making some minor changes to make it compatible with YouTube. I'll be censoring certain vulgarity, otherwise I wouldn't be able to monetize it, and of course I'll be censoring any nudity. Team Bondi did a wonderful job with this game. Their attention to detail was impeccable. The story is authentic, and because it's so authentic, it faithfully includes a lot of the prejudices some people held at that time. Because of that, we may from time to time hear characters saying some pretty insensitive stuff. I don't plan to censor it unless it becomes a big issue, and if it is, just let me know your thoughts below. This will be a slow series here on my channel, which means I'm not going to have a new episode every day, or even every week. But we will slowly get through the entire story, case by case. Thanks everyone for watching. I've got a brand new shirt in the shop. The game was rigged from the start. We find a beautiful portrait of a certain fellow in a daisy suit clutching a precious poker chip. At the bottom, we find his distinctive gun and the words, "The game was rigged from the start." You can find this design on shirts in a wide variety of both men's and women's sizes, and in a wide array of colors. It also comes on other products, smartphone cases, pillows, posters, prints, etc. So if interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below, or you can click here. If you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming one of my patrons on Patreon. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for my next video.